Welcome back, everybody. This is a somber episode, Super Bowl edition, instant reaction. Me and my boy Jake Sepka here to give our thoughts on that Super Bowl. Jake, welcome in. First of all, what are your instant thoughts, instant reactions to that Super Bowl game and the ending that we witnessed?
Thanks for having me on, Dave. It's my second visit. It was a great game overall, 35-35 towards the end. I can't believe there was as many scoring as there was. Unfortunately, it's just a dog shit ending. Dog shit. How did the refs call that game like that at the end? They have the Chiefs money in their pocket. Andy Reid gave them a fat cheeseburger in their pocket. He gave them $1 million to say, "All right, here you go. Just call the game for the Chiefs." It's bullshit.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. NFL rigged. We saw it come down to the wire there. We would have loved to see how the authentic ending would have been, but the pass fell incomplete towards the end of the game, and you saw the ref instantly grab for the yellow flag in the pocket and tossed it out there to give the Chiefs another chance at taking home the W. Um, I never root for injuries, but I would have loved to see a little Charlie Brown action on that game-winning field goal slip. Just maybe tweak something, miss the field goal, doink it, double doink, so we don't have to think about that anymore in Bears history. Just something to really put a smile on my face because just a devastating loss all around. Did you bet any money on the game, Jake?
No, unfortunately, I'm not a betting man. I was back in the day when you convinced me to start sports betting, but I lost all my money similar to, the Davy deficits method. But so I don't I don't sports bet anymore. But I know you got some fat bets on the game. So why don't we recap your bets on the game, Dave, and see how they turned out?
Thanks for asking. Yes, I had quite significant money on this game. I decided to kind of go all in. It's a Super Bowl. It's the big dance, the final dance. I was watching it with Jake. I was watching it with some guests that'll come up here shortly. And I was excited. I was looking forward to it. I wanted to put some money on the line and make it exciting. Have a significant wager on it, and that I did. That I did. I stepped up to the plate big time today, and they didn't come through for me. That's for sure. It was part of the Davy deficits diagram as you described, where I had exuberant confidence going into this game. I won a couple bets the last few days. I was flying high. My Bulldogs, they won a couple bets for me, and I put my nuts on the table and I bet on the Eagles significantly, and they really let me down here. And as they got worse in the game, as they went down to the Chiefs, I decided to double down and take live Eagles money line, which felt good at the time. Good at the time. Confidence was still high, and it came crashing down incredibly hard. So that's kind of my initial instant reaction thoughts on the game.
Yeah, and just based off my observations of this last weekend, I agree with you. You were flying high coming into this game. Confidence was at an all-time high. We were at stage three of the Davy deficits diagram. David was feeling himself. He had some good smart bets earlier in the week. Like you said, the Drake bets hit. He had some good college basketball bets hit.
Smart bets win.
Smart, smart bets win. But as soon as I saw him put that money line down in the second half, I thought, here we go again. Some severe losses coming our way. And it was just funny to look over at David as the game went on and just see his depression. See, he seems to further and further into depression after he realized that he wasn't going to take any money home, and he's probably going to have to work for free for the next couple of days to make up the fat deficits that he lost. Um, but yeah, tough day for sports betting, but I think it was a pretty good game overall.
Yeah, I decided I'm going to go to the plasma center tomorrow, donate some plasma, make some of that money back because, overall, when you wager significant funds and you lose it all in the matter of one flag falling to the field, it's devastating emotionally. I think the first commercial that came on after the game ended was Sarah McLachlan singing "In the Arms of the Angel"
Angel.
with sad dogs, and I think it panned to me at the end, also with a tear in my eyes. So, perfect timing on the Sarah McLachlan commercial. I'm gonna have to maybe buy some Skechers. Shout out Snoop Dogg for that one. But I'm gonna bring in the next special guest here, Jake. Thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure having you once again.
Thanks for having me anytime, Dave. I just love to come in here and watch you lose your bets. So
My pleasure. It's my pleasure. Okay, thank you. Erica, would you come please have a seat in the special guest chair? Erica, welcome on. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. And then I'm going to ask you about the game right after. So,
Thanks for having me. My name is Erica. Currently stuck in Des Moines, Iowa.
what do you mean stuck?
Well,
Define that.
I'm here against my will. I'm a prisoner of Iowa. But other than that, just have a good weekend with my friends, so can't complain too much.
Erica, you heard it here first. She's trapped. She's trapped. Help her out. Help her. We're stuck in Des Moines, Iowa. No, we're not stuck. You know, we'll bring in another guest after Erica, and he'll get to give his thoughts about being stuck. Yeah, in Des Moines. So we watched that game together. You know, it was a good family time watching the game with your friends. You know, it always makes it a more enjoyable experience. So what were your thoughts on that Super Bowl and on the ending that we saw?
Well, I don't know much about football, but I do know that's 3 hours of my life that I'll be never getting back. So I think, going into the second half, they really lost their momentum. And after that, it just all went downhill for the Eagles. Unfortunately, the last 2 minutes of the game was the worst thing I've ever seen.
And you maybe don't know a lot about the history of my sports betting, but do you think that there's a chance that I curse the Eagles by betting on them today?
Unfortunately, I think you curse every team you bet on, so probably, yeah. And there's a good chance that you curse them, yeah.
The odds are high that the David Wood curse is real. Okay, well, I'm glad to get your thoughts on the game. What did you think about the halftime show?
For sure the best part of the game, hands down. Very entertaining, great singer. I wish it would have been longer. Could have been the full 3 hours. That would have been preferred, but gotta have some football in there. So
Can I get your thoughts? Do you think Rihanna's pregnant? Instant reaction, yes or no?
absolutely she's pregnant. Yes. Yep, that's all I'm gonna say.
You think the baby bump is real?
Yes, for sure real.
You don't think it's some postpartum bumpage?
No, it's for sure. She's pregnant, absolutely.
What do you think of the outfit? Because to me, I like the red outfit initially, but usually in a Super Bowl halftime show, we see a lot of outfit changes. So were you kind of shocked that she stayed in the red the entire time?
I would say normally yes, but because she was in fact pregnant, can't ask much of her. I mean, she got out there, she sang well, she danced well. Can't beat it really.
Do you think she was actually singing, or do you think there was some lip singing going on there?
I think there's a little bit of both, but you could tell when she was truly singing. She has a great voice. Yeah, I thought it was a great show.
Were you disappointed not to have Kanye West show up from the rafters, like SpongeBob in the SpongeBob movie when he just rappels down?
I'm not too disappointed.
What are your thoughts on Kanye's anti-Semitic? Don't answer that. Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about today? I thought you did a wonderful job. You're nervous coming in. I could see that in your eyes, but I think you did a wonderful job. I think you're a natural.
Before I walked up here, my heart rate was 110. So we're doing well.
Don't you have a promo
110 is not bad. 110 is not too bad. Yeah, please use promo code BP for $15 off a blood pressure cuff. We did a little blood pressure checking earlier this weekend, and I had one of the lowest blood pressures. So I think everybody was pretty shocked by that. I think most people, I'm very unhealthy. Everybody knows that. So people were kind of shocked. It was like the surprise of the weekend. What'd you say?
Absolutely, yeah. It was. I mean, we thought for sure you're gonna win with the highest blood pressure, but in fact, you shocked us all and came in at the lowest. So overall, a good weekend.
Here to here first. Good weekend. Blood pressures were low. Stress was high. Tensions were high. The wagers were high. The results were low. Almost devastating, as some would say. I don't think that you three feel the amount of devastation that I have, but I can appreciate that you respect my devastation levels, and you're kind of stooping down to my devastation with me. So thank you for the vibes.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yep. Thank you, Erica. It was a pleasure having you on. I'm going to bring in my next guest here, Mr. Steven Dorn. So, Steve, we're getting kind of three different perspectives here on the Super Bowl outcome and what happened in the game. We had Jake Sepka on here first, who not exactly a physical specimen, but a smart guy and knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. And then we brought in Erica, obviously, to bring the female perspective, because that's important in 2023 to get that perspective. She gave great insight on the entertainment factor and her overall satisfaction. And then we have Steve here, who's a former Division I football player, so he's able to bring in this new, unique perspective. Most people that we've had as guests on this podcast, Steve, are not even remotely athletic, so it's kind of good to have that perspective. So, welcome on. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. Should I just take the mic? Yeah. All right. So my name's Steven. Was a former Drake football player from 2015 to 2019. I played receiver. Now we are stuck in Iowa, as Erica says. I'm going for my PhD in physics, so I have a few more years there. But yeah, so we are indeed trapped in Iowa for the time being. But I mean, don't sell yourself short, man. I mean, you also played football in high school, so I mean, you obviously can see how the game's going and stuff. I guess my instant reaction was just I felt like Philadelphia was just in control like the whole game. And like Erica said, I think the momentum just I think they said that the halftime show was obviously prolonged from a normal game. And I think that just absolutely killed them. And it was one of those games where I felt like, especially at halftime, looking at the score, they were only up by 10, but it felt like Philadelphia was just completely in control of the first half, just steamrolling them. And it just came down to that one turnover, especially for points, that I think really, really killed them. But I mean, I feel like Mahomes is just at this point, he's almost like Tom Brady or like a Pat or like a Peyton Manning or someone like in their prime where they're just an elite Hall of Fame quarterback that just has almost a sense of like inevitability. And you just can't like as much as I wanted to agree with your bet, and I thought that that was a smart bet taking the Eagles, Mahomes just you just can't bet against the guy, which is just really frustrating to watch. I'm not a Mahomes hater like you and Jake, but it's tough to see a guy that just doesn't lose, like literally will not lose for whatever reason. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of my instant reaction.
Would you say that I had a little bit of a curse by betting on the Eagles? Do you think I cursed the Eagles a little bit?
I don't think you cursed them. I think Jake cursed them because I think what it was halftime, they're up by 10, and you're like, oh, you got this in the bag. And so I think even though Jake knocked on wood, I think Jake did in fact curse it. It's out of your hands.
Thank you for bringing that up because I actually I wanted to bring that up with him. I forgot. He says at about halftime, this is a lock. He got this in the bag.
And I quote,
one of the worst things you could possibly say to a gambler in the middle of a game, and he pulled it out. So appreciate that, Jake. Always looking out for me. Thank you. So those are good initial thoughts. There's a couple really close plays, where the refs got involved, the replays, things like that. Like the Chiefs almost had that other defensive touchdown. So what do you think was the biggest? Like you said, the defensive touchdown was probably the one of the huge plays of the game. But what other big plays were big momentum swings in this game?
Sure. Let me think here. I think almost a lack of plays. Like I think we all thought coming into the game that the Eagles were going to get a lot of pressure on Mahomes because the Eagles were like second all time in sacks in the regular season or something absolutely ridiculous. And I think they had 0 sacks, and the Chiefs only had 1 sack. But I think it was more the lack of plays that the Eagles made, especially on defense, no turnovers. I think the Eagles did have some explosive plays. Like there was the AJ Brown corner route in the end zone. That was a huge play. Dallas Goedert made a bunch of huge plays. And obviously the Chiefs missed a field goal. I can't think of really any insanely explosive plays the Chiefs had, but I think it was just one punch after another punch after another punch. Of just Kelsey getting open somehow. He's always open. And just they had a few of those end zone plays, right, where they motioned in the number 1 receiver and then just immediately cut him back out and he was just wide open. So I think those were the two plays where the Eagles had him on 3rd down, 3rd and goal, and they just screwed the pooch. Like they just couldn't stop him. So I think those were the 2 biggest plays. And then obviously the defensive touchdown. Like you said, I think those were the biggest.
Yeah, I think we saw the coaching come into play there towards the end. The Chiefs in the goal line are the best team in the NFL at those goal line plays. What were your thoughts on Travis Kelce losing his mind at the end and the post-game press conference saying that they are underdogs and they're not respected? What are your thoughts about that?
First off, I think I love Travis Kelce is a very entertaining guy to watch. His post-game press conferences, if you want to call it that, are just a little ridiculous. Not a fan. But I find it kind of hard. I don't know how many Chiefs fans are listening to this podcast, but like, I mean, maybe there's a few teams that were overhyped, like the Bills were overhyped coming into the year, but like everybody thought the Chiefs were going to be one of at least the last 4 teams left. So the thought I hate it when really good teams come into games, especially big games, saying like, "Oh, we're an underdog," no one believes in us, stuff like that. When they are so clearly one of the 2 best teams in the NFL, that like even if people didn't believe in you, they knew Mahomes was going to ball out, even on a bum leg. So I get annoyed when otherwise good teams kind of pick up that underdog card, even though you should just save that for like if you're like a 2007 Giants or something like that.
Yeah, going against an undefeated team or something, then you're the clear head and shoulders underdog. But they showed a little graphic before the game or during the game that the Chiefs and the Eagles had the same record. They were both 1 seeds. They scored the identical amount of points throughout the whole season. So how is really anybody an underdog, even though you are a betting underdog? Like obviously it was a 1.5 point spread. That's a pretty tight spread.
Yeah.
I think the spread even flipped throughout the game. So let's put our tinfoil hats on here. What do you think about? Do you think Pat Mahomes' ankle injury is real? Do you think it's a little dramatic? Do you think? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Listen, I think 30 minutes for halftime with athletic trainers can do a lot of wonders on your ankle, especially with maybe a little what are those injections called? Toradol injections. I'm sure that can help. But I think ankles are one of those, because you saw him when he got out of the pocket, or when he did the little, like when he does the fake rollout. Like if he's on the goal line, he's facing, let's say, this end zone. He fakes left and rolls right. You can see he's still limited in his mobility, right? And especially cutting in the pocket, he's not nearly as quick as he usually is, even though Jake always makes fun of him that he runs like this. He's not the most coordinated guy, but he's still fast enough to get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So I think especially with ankle injuries, they suck and they hurt, but you can do a lot to like limit the mobility of the ankle, and that can at least give you enough to like get to the point where you're at least able to be mobile and at least run 20 yards, 10 yards at a time. So I think I'm not going to put the full tinfoil hat on. I think he was definitely injured. But I mean, I just think tape and probably some sort of anti-inflammatory injections can definitely do some wonders. What about you? Do you think it's a full?
Yeah, I think it's a hoax. I think he tweaked it a little bit, but I think they're being more dramatic with it than he wants to do the limping around. He wants to have the Michael Jordan flu game, that type of experience, so people can look at it and it's a win-win for him, right? If they lose the game, oh, he had a bum ankle. If he was healthy, they would have won. If they win the game, he's a hero. He's a national hero. He's the next Pat Tillman at this point. That's how they're treating him for that ankle sprain. So
all athletes are dramatic, I should say. So everybody's gonna milk those, like unless you're seriously injured, everybody's gonna milk that little injury just to kind of give them, like you said, like you're battling like the Jordan flu game or one of those.
Who do you think are the most dramatic athletes, and why is it soccer players?
Okay, I don't watch a lot of soccer. I think they are dramatic, but I think it's more in the parameters of the sport, right? Every sport has their like the dramatics, and football is dramatic, but it's only dramatic to the point where so if you compare soccer is not a physical sport. Well, it is a physical sport, but not nearly as physical a sport as football. So when they get right up along the lines of what would be considered, let's say, a yellow card or a red card, and they're kind of tiptoeing that line, that's when the dramatics come in, right? Basketball,
Flopping.
they flop because that's a penalty, or they get hacked and they like freak out because that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Football, if someone gets lit up, they don't like lay on the ground and cry because that's not a penalty. But if the quarterback gets lit up, sometimes they lay on the ground a little bit too long because that's a penalty. So I think it's all about kind of the rules of the game, right?
Yeah. What advantage can you get?
Yeah, but I think so. Okay, so the most dramatic floppers, I would say, even though I do love LeBron, I think he does probably flop a lot. I think James Harden flops a lot. In terms of NFL players, I'm trying to think. I think Tom Brady complains a lot.
Mahomes complains a lot.
Mahomes complains
Aaron
a lot.
Rodgers.
Okay, I won't say that, but I think, yeah, probably those guys that I mentioned. I feel like they're the biggest, but definitely soccer players are for sure the biggest floppers.
Yeah, one last question while your tinfoil hat's still on. What are your thoughts on the moon landing? Do you think in 1969 did we actually land on the moon, or do you think that was fake by the government?
All right, first off, if I wouldn't have said 1969, or you wouldn't have said 1969, you would not have pulled that date out. But I think it was absolutely fake. I mean, we learn in our physics curriculums that everything is obviously crafted by the U.S. world government. Obviously the Earth is flat, gravity isn't real. All those beautiful laws that kind of dictate the world are obviously bullcrap. I'm just funded by, the U.S. government. So, yeah, I think it's definitely fake for sure. Definitely my favorite conspiracy, though.
You heard it here first. Spaceman Steve says the moon landing was fake in 1969. How did we call if it was real? Here's my one question. I'm not saying it's fake. It was fake. But how did they call from the moon to Houston or whatever on a landline? How did that work?
So they had first off, what they did was they hooked up a really, really long string and had 2 tin cans. They kept one in Houston, and then they just launched up the rocket. And as long as you have a string that's at least 250,000 miles, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. Now, there is the issue of Earth spins faster than the moon revolves around Earth. So how do you not have the string just, wind up? But that's why you get extra string, and that's why you make the missions short. So even though you have string just falling on Earth's surface, coiling up, you do it quickly, so it's not that bad.
That's an insight I never really considered. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Well, Steve, thanks for coming on. Anything else you want to tell the listeners?
No, just subscribe, follow the podcast. You guys are doing great work. So yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Jake, you want to come back in here quick to close this thing out? Because I have a question for you.
Okay.
After watching that game, I know how you feel about certain things. You and I are Bears fans. Steve and Eric are both Packer fans. They're from Germantown, Wisconsin.
Filthy.
Shout out Milwaukee area. But now after that game that we just witnessed, where do you rank Pat Mahomes all time in quarterbacks?
All time. I probably give him number 37 overall. There's quite a few people ahead of him. He's probably like the third or fourth best quarterback this season. Obviously, you've got Justin Fields number 1. Josh Allen's there. Burrow. What did I say?
Tom
Number
Brady.
4?
Tom Brady. Justin Herbert.
Tua Tagovailoa. Justin Herbert.
Marcus
Mariota, probably.
Jordan Love.
No, not Jordan Love. Fuck that. And then Mahomes probably 9, 10, or 12 or something like that.
Okay.
So he's up there. Maybe around his number 15.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, I completely agree. He definitely cracked into the top 40 after this game, so I was proud of him there. He earned that title, and he's climbing his way up the leaderboard for sure.
Yeah, maybe one day when he grows up, one day he'll get there. You never know. He's just a kid still. Just a kid with a dream. # just a kid from Akron. So.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on LeBron passing the all-time scoring record? You heard it here first. Left him speechless. Yeah, the king, as people say, right? Le flop, le anti-clutch.
No, LeBron is complete bullshit. Okay, I'll say it right now. I'll be the first person to say it. Okay.
Le communist.
Le China, Le flop, Le bubble, Le Mickey Mouse. Everybody knows that. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. The Mickey Mouse championship does not count. Michael Jordan's still number 1.
Kobe 2. Do you think LeBron's top 30 all time?
Maybe. Maybe top 30. Maybe he's. I mean, there's probably some player. Russell Westbrook's probably had a better career than LeBron.
The walking triple double.
Derrick Rose better career than LeBron. So we got some solid choices up there, but I'll give him top 50.
Michael Redd was an elite player for the Milwaukee Bucks in the early 2000s. Okay, excellent. There's one last thing I wanted to ask you, but I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Do you think now that the season is wrapped up, do you think Aaron Rodgers comes back this year after his DMT trip, or do you think he ends up hanging up the cleats, or do you think he goes somewhere else?
David, he's doing some really weird shit lately. Like, he's going to go out into some cabin in the woods, turn all the lights off. He's going to hang out with a bunch of his buddies all naked in the dark or whatever they're doing up there,
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of weird. That's big, weird activities.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen there? I don't know if he's going to come back to the Packers, the filthy Packers. I hope they start Jordan Love so they go 0-16 next year, 0-17. Maybe he'll go to the Raiders. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes has had a better career than Rodgers. Obviously, everybody knows that.
So Rodgers is not top 37?
No, he's number 69, probably. Not 69 or 70. I'll give him that.
Well, thank you, Jake. Thanks for coming on. Eric, I'm going to bring you back in for one more quick question about the Packers because I want to hear your thoughts. Big Packers fan, obviously Jake and I are Bears fans. I said that earlier. So it's kind of 2-on-2 right now with Bears versus Packers. What are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, both on the field and off the field the last few years?
I think I'll specifically comment on his hair. I think it's since the haircut has gone downhill. Have you seen him put his cap on and it sticks out the side? That's filthy.
Gross.
Absolutely disgusting. And I think if he cuts his hair, things will go a lot better for him.
Yeah, I compared it to one of the penguins from Surf's Up, where they have the little flares out the sides. That's kind of what he looks like to me. So, okay, so the haircut is really what did him in. You think it wasn't like the The drugs?
Well, it could be the drugs, it could be age, could be the haircut. We don't really know, but honestly, I think it's time he hangs up the hat pretty soon. This year was just absolutely terrible. They didn't deserve to go to the Super Bowl. They didn't deserve to go to the playoffs. I mean, I'm a Packers fan, but man, that was bad. Just tough to watch.
We should have you on more often. I really like your perspective on the Packers. Do you think that Jordan Love is going to bring them a Super Bowl once Aaron Rodgers ultimately is finished?
To be honest, I have no idea who that is, but I sure hope so.
That's what separates this podcast from other football podcasts is we get insight like this. So, Erica, thanks for coming on. How's the heart rate now that I called you back on? Why don't you read it live on air?
It is. I broke it. 102.
102. It went down, so she's feeling more comfortable with the podcast theme. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on. This has been a Super Bowl special edition of the Amateur Hour podcast. John wants to cut it off when the season ended, so I thought I'd give the listeners one last hurrah with 3 new special guests. So, thank you all for listening. If you listened, and thanks for coming on, special guests.